This is We're Getting Better by BelleAmant, read by Satori Reads. This is a part 3 and the final part of the series Just As Bad, and I do recommend listening to the previous 2 parts first. All 3 parts will be linked in the top right corner in a playlist that can also be found on my channel. Summary: Shinsou can't sleep at night. Apparently, Midoriya can't either. Or Hitoshi finally acts. Day 4 slips away into the night, and Shinsou can't sleep. He's had this problem before, of course. Insomnia is a bitch to deal with, and she's been clinging to him like a desperate ex since he manifested his quirk. Mental quirks usually have negative outcomes for the user over time. Some get frequent headaches or the occasional migraine, and others have reported long-lasting insomnia. A doctor had explained when he was 6 and had eye bags larger than his mother's purse. He proceeded to explain ways to try falling asleep. But Shinsou was too caught up in his head, too caught up on the fact that there was yet another reason that his quirk was a bad one. Shinsou had always despised his insomnia. Hated how he just can't sleep no matter how exhausted he is on certain nights. How he's stuck drinking coffee day in and day out in order to have the energy to get through the day. How he has to simply deal with it when it spikes, because nothing works for him. Because his godforsaken quirk wasn't bad enough when it was simply making everyone run from him in fear of being used as a puppet. How ironic that tonight he's left with thoughts of the boy who he pushed away. The one person who has ever seemed excited over his quirk. Shinsou doesn't really like irony. Just like he doesn't much care for staring at his ceiling for hours on end. So with nothing better to do, Shinsou decides to head to the kitchen. Maybe tea will help. Shinsou thinks half-heartedly, knowing that the warm drink only helps a third of the time. And that's when he's unstressed and relaxed. With as much as he's thinking and worrying right now, Shinsou knows that sleep won't be coming to him tonight. Shinsou shuffles through the dark common room blindly, eyes narrowed as he tries to pick his way to the kitchen. He makes it, priding himself on his ability to be silent as he snuck through, and he reaches for the spot where he knows the kettle always is. His hand makes contact, and Shinsou moves on autopilot, filling up the kettle before placing it on the stove, which he turns on before moving to find his favorite mug. It has a distinct handle, perfect for nighttime tea in the dark, and so Shinsou will know that he has it the very moment his hand makes contact. But his hand doesn't make contact. Shinsou frowns, hand groping the cabinet as he tries to find it. 40 seconds pass with this motion, before Shinsou sighs, concedes defeat, and flicks on the kitchen light. He's surprised to see a familiar head of green hair resting on the table, face flat on an open notebook. He jumps back, knocking into the counter and sending a plastic cup falling to the floor. And it must be his lucky day, because the noise of plastic hitting the floor causes Midoriya to jerk awake, eyes wide as his head shoots up. The two stare at each other, unblinking, and Shinsou feels his chest tighten as he sees how Midoriya's own chest rises and falls quickly, his classmate beginning to panic. Then the kettle begins to whistle sharply, and Shinsou lets out the breath he didn't realize he was holding. Moving quickly, he turns off the stove, plucking out 2 mugs. Oh, there's his favorite one. And a few bags of his main calming blend. He drops the bags into the mugs, then pours in the water. Hearing shuffling behind him, he glances back to see that Midoriya is starting to grab his stuff. His notebook now closed, and the boy half out of his seat. That won't do. Shinsou sets the mug in front of Midoriya, guilt coursing through him as the boy flinches at the action, followed by his eyes widening. I didn't mean to wake you, Shinsou says. This will help you fall back asleep. Oh, Midoriya says. Slowly, cautiously, the boy sits back down. Shinsou takes the spot across from him. The silence is awful, only broken by the occasional sip of tea. and Shinsou hates it enough that he tries to engage in small talk. Small talk. So, Shinsou starts wonderfully. I guess I get why you seem to get it during the sports festival now. That's not fucking small talk, Shinsou thinks to himself. But it's too late. He's already shoved his foot in his mouth. And Midoriya already looks like he wants to jump out of the nearest window in order to avoid this conversation. Or maybe just to avoid him. Yeah, Midoriya says, voice on a whisper. I'd only had it for a few months. Shit, Shinsou says, oh so wisely. That sucks, man. Midoriya snorts, and Shinsou feels encouraged by the sound. I'm sorry, Shinsou says, for what I said. That was a total dig move on my part, and it's fine. Midoriya consoles, no longer looking at him, eyes now firmly locked on the table. It's nothing I'm not used to, and that's why it isn't fine. Shinsou retorts. Midoriya, I made so many assumptions about you, and all of them were wrong. I thought you had some golden life and perfect past to match your quirk. I thought you grew up with people believing in you every step of the way. I thought you had friends and support and everything you didn't. Midoriya finishes for him, because he gets it. Kami, does he get it? It's why everything spiraled so badly after all. Yeah, Shinsou agrees. And it's everything you didn't have either, is it? Midoriya's silence is enough of an answer, but he still speaks after a long pause. My mum apologized when I was diagnosed. Midoriya says softly. We thought I was quirkless for a decade. No quirk, no greatness. I was nothing. I wasn't even good enough to be considered a future villain. I was too worthless, too useless for that. Worthless, useless, Deku. That's your goddamn hero name, Shinsou hisses out. You took their insult? I made it my own, Midoriya says. Uraraka suggested that I could give it a new meaning, one I can be proud of. Are you? Shinsou asks. Midoriya doesn't answer, but his eyes flash with a flurry of emotions that Shinsou can barely discern. Somehow, he thinks that he gets it. You're like me, Shinsou points out after another pause. But you ended up better than me, huh? And it's not even just the quirk? Huh? Midoriya asks, and Shinsou shrugs his shoulders. I'm jaded, bitter. I lash out at others and isolate myself so they can't turn their backs on me. But you make it look so easy, so unreal. You smile and laugh and light up a room, and you've been through worse shit than me. It was never a competition. Midoriya murmurs. No, it wasn't. Shinsou agrees. But I threw myself right into the losing streak. That's on me. You can't blame yourself. Midoriya protests, eyes more alive than they have been in days. You've been hurt, Shinsou. I can't blame you for wanting to have things be on your terms. But I can be upset for hurting someone because my head was too far up my ass. And you can be upset with me too, for saying things like that to you. Shinsou counters, and Midoriya hesitates. You don't have to, Midoriya says. You don't, just because you feel bad, don't apologize. I don't blame you. There's nothing to forgive. The protests hurt, because they remind Shinsou of how he's felt about their peers trying to befriend him. Don't befriend me out of pity. Shinsou always thought when someone would try to talk to him once he got into 2A. But he's been wrong, hasn't he? So maybe it's time he reaches out and trusts someone. Stops being bitter and stops pushing people away due to his false assumptions. I'm not doing this out of pity or guilt, Shinsou promises. I'm apologizing because I'm wrong, and because Because I'm taking back my words, okay? I want to be your friend, to get to know the real you. Not the one I have built up in my head, because I think he's nothing like who I'm talking to. If you're okay with that, that is. Midoriya looks at him for a moment, a very long moment, where Shinsou feels like the greenet is making a decision that could make or break all future interactions. And then, slowly, Midoriya nods. They don't talk for much longer. After that, only 20 or 30 minutes pass before their teas are gone, and Midoriya is yawning and Shinsou is waving goodnight. The two head to their own rooms. The night is quiet as they do. It's nothing special, and yet it is. For once, Shinsou sleeps easy. But nothing is more satisfying than seeing the bright eyes and cheerful grin on Midoriya's face when the boy walks into the class next day. Things aren't perfect, but Shinsou will do his best to get better until he can get there. So this was We're Getting Better by BelleAmant, read by Satori Reads. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.